What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most requested product reviews of 2020, the SkiRow by EnergyFit. They were nice enough to bring one up from Tustin to Simi Valley. It's about a 2-hour drive or so, so I really appreciate that. Behind me, I also have the Concept 2 skier and the rower, so I can use those for comparison. But I want to get this out of the way very early on. If you're looking for a replacement for the Concept 2s, I'm going to say that the EnergyFit SkiRow is just not it. They flat out told me that they made the product to be different than the Concept 2 products, and in a lot of ways it can substitute for the Concept 2s, but there are some things that kind of hold it back and make it its own product, but I'll go over those as I go more in depth into this review. No doubt, if you were looking at fitness equipment, the SkiRow has popped up into your Instagram feed or Facebook feed, but these guys have been around for quite some time. They did only sell to like commercial for a long time, and then just recently they started selling to home gyms and the home market. So that's part of the reason why you only recently started to see them. The allure of it, obviously, is that you get to consolidate your skier and your rower into one machine. So if you were just looking for a good workout, you wanted to sweat, you wanted to consolidate space, then I think the SkiRow is actually really good. They do come in two different flavors. There's the SkiRow Air, which is the one that I have here, and then there's the SkiRow Power, or the SkiRow Air Power, that also includes magnetic resistance to it. So the benefit of having that is that you could use like the ski configuration as like a cable crossover kind of machine. I don't really have a use for that, or I don't really have a use for that here inside the gym. And my configuration is just the SkiRow Air, so I haven't really tested those functions out. So I just use this mainly as a skier and as a rower. So I'm gonna take you guys on a walk around of the SkiRow, and then I'm gonna get back in front of the camera and give you my final verdict on the SkiRow. Okay, so here is the SkiRow in its skiing configuration. The dimensions like this are 54 inches long, 33 inches wide, and 84 inches tall. It's very similar in height to the Concept 2. I'd say maybe a little bit shorter, but pretty close. The actual ground dimensions are also pretty close as well. Obviously, with the Concept 2, I have the freestanding attachment. With the SkiRow, you don't actually need that because it does have these legs that extend out. From there, the monitors pretty much right in front of you. Same thing goes with like the SkiErg. Monitor placement is pretty good with the EnergyFit. The monitor itself is not the greatest. It does have an air-driven flywheel, pretty much just like the Concept 2. And then the flywheel is adjusted by these little circles, which don't really make a whole lot of sense, but there's 10 different damper adjustments. The total, or the max weight capacity of the SkiRow, if you're gonna sit on it, is 350 pounds. The seat, and I'll flip that down just so that you can see it. There's this little kickstand or kick pedal, and then from there, you push it down, and then it's got a gas-assisted little damper that helps it guide down to the ground so it doesn't just slam into the ground. Anyways, the seat is pretty small. It is pretty well cushioned. It's really small, and it kind of feels like when you're rowing, you're gonna fall off of it. Don't really care too much for that. The angle of the footholds is pretty good. It's pretty similar to Concept 2. So here's the configuration in its rowing setup, which is 103 inches long, 33 inches wide, and then 40 inches high or tall. The handle is a little bit thin, but it's got like a soft touch. It's pretty easy to hold on to. It's not terrible. Definitely better than some of the other competitors. So let's take a look at that monitor. So you can pull on the rower handle to get it started, but it won't actually start, it just turns it on, which is kind of weird. So after you do that, you do have to press start, and then from there, it'll get going. Right, so you have your basic readout, your time, your stroke rate, your pace, your distance, and then your watts that switches the calories, and it just keeps on switching back between calories, heart rate, and watts, which is awful. There's no way to, at least on mine, to make that like a static readout for like calories, which is pretty difficult when you're doing a workout that requires calories. The calorie count is probably half the speed of a Concept 2 rower. It goes pretty slow. And then the pace or the distance is also a little bit on the slow side, but not as far back as the calories go. The calorie count on this is just, it's slow. Another thing is like, as you row, the numbers jump around a lot more than they do on like the Concept 2 monitor, which is also a little bit on the annoying side. But otherwise, like if you're rowing at home, I guess you're not really looking for like something to use for a WOD. It's not that big a deal. It still gives you your distance, your calories. You just have to make sure that you're accounting for that if you're doing CrossFit. I do wish the monitor was backlit. That's a little nice thing to have when you're coming from like a Concept 2 monitor nowadays. But otherwise, it's pretty easy to read. That area of the monitor, or that area of the SkiRow, is definitely the weakest part. The actual build quality of the SkiRow is excellent. I mean, this thing it's a unit. It's 150 pounds. It's actually pretty easy to move around. So I'll just kind of flip this up here. Doesn't take a whole lot to flip up because it does have that shock there. Like one-handed operation, pretty easy to move around. And then when you want to just scoot it around, all you do is you grab the base and you pick them up, and then there's some wheels in the front here that you'll, scoot it around on. So there is pretty much the machine of the SkiRow. Okay, so let's talk about that monitor a little bit more. So you do have to press start to turn it on, and then press start again to get it to count. Or you can pull the handle and then you can press start to get it to count. It does not automatically count, which is a little bit on the annoying side. They told me that they did that for battery saving reasons, but to be honest with you, I would definitely rather waste the batteries to have the convenience of just having it start by just pulling it to get going. Like I said before, it does kind of flip around on the watts, the calories, and the heart rates, which is very annoying. There's no way to keep that static, but they are updating that, and in the future ones, they will have the option to just have it on a static value. As far as like the calorie count in comparison to the Concept 2, it counts about half the speed. That first workout was pretty brutal when I didn't know what it was counting at. The distance is very similar. It's probably a little bit slower. It's not that far off though. It's hard to keep up the strokes per minute on this thing in comparison to the Concept 2 rower. So that was hard in doing like the testing as far as like how long it would take to get to a certain point, because I was trying to hold strokes per minute, and in this it's much harder to hold strokes per minute than on the Concept 2. So I noticed that when I was doing my 1,000 meter repeats on the SkiRow, I was pulling about 30 seconds slower than I was pulling on the Concept 2. That was pretty consistent every time. I'm not the greatest of rowers, but I can keep up a certain pace if you put me to that. I just wasn't able to keep it up on the SkiRow as I was on the Concept 2. So take that in consideration if you're planning on picking up the SkiRow to use for CrossFit workouts. It's probably about 30 seconds, maybe 100 meters, 150 meters slower than the Concept 2. And then on the calories, it is about half the speed in terms of counting. So when using the SkiRow as a skier, the actual height is very similar to a Concept 2. The handles are also pretty similar to the Concept 2. I do feel like the Concept 2 handles are a little bit better shaped, but it's pretty close between the two. It does still use that nylon cable like the rower, but the Concept 2 also uses cables like that as well. What's weird about this is that when you pull one, it kind of affects the other one. So somehow the cables on these are linked. The width of the handles is a little bit more narrow than the Concept 2. Some people are going to like that, some people aren't going to like that. So pulling it, getting it going, feels pretty similar to the Concept 2 because it does also use like a nylon cable, pretty similar to the Concept 2's nylon cable or rope style cable. It feels more similar in that respect than the rower does because the Concept 2 rower uses a chain. The monitor does count the same way like on the skier as it does on the rower. So comparing the skier in terms of how it counts to the SkiErg is pretty tough because the SkiErg, it counts a little bit differently than the Concept 2 rower. Like the actual operation, flywheel operation is pretty much the same thing, but it does count differently. Like the strokes per minute don't match up at all. So it's hard to like get any kind of grasp between what I'm doing here versus what I'm doing there. All I can say is that it's pretty much the same story as far as distance and calories go. This counts at half the speed as the Concept 2. And then the distance is about 150, 100 meters slower than on the Concept 2. Okay, so there you have it. There's the SkiRow in pretty much all of its mechanical glory. And you know, when it comes down to what I would use this for or who I would recommend it to, it's really just people that aren't doing CrossFit. They don't really care for CrossFit. They'd rather just get a good workout in, which definitely provides. I did some row repeats, 1,000 meter row repeats, and it did take a little bit longer than it did on the Concept 2, and it still kicked my ass. It was still hard to do. The actual rowing feels a little bit different than the Concept 2. It does have like a nylon cable in comparison to the chain on the Concept 2, so that feels a little bit different. I felt like the cord on the SkiRow didn't have as much tension. It didn't quite pull you back as much as the chain on the Concept 2, but it is a little bit smoother because it is a cord as compared to the chain of the Concept 2 that's a little bit more kind of rough feeling. And then for the ski, I thought the ski felt pretty similar both ways. They both use a cord, so there isn't too much of a difference as far as the feel goes. Either way, like I couldn't adjust the SkiRow to make it feel exactly the same. But you know, like I said, they didn't design this to be a Concept 2 machine. So with that in mind, you have to kind of weigh out whether or not you're going to want to buy the SkiRow. Is it a good machine? Yes. Can you get a good workout on it? Yes. Is it a replacement for the Concept 2s? No. I still think the Concept 2 rower and the Concept 2 skier are better just machines in general. But they are the standard when you look at rowing and skiing machines. But they do take up quite a bit of space, and sometimes people don't have the luxury of getting that space. is the SkiRow that far behind it in terms of, or behind the Concept 2s in terms of use? I think the SkiRow is good. It has a place. It doesn't have a place in a CrossFit gym, but it does have a place in a home gym. It does have a place in a commercial gym. It's probably something that I would like buy my parents to get their workout in because of the ease of use. It's easy to move around. It's easy to bring back and forth. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It doesn't look bad. If you had this in your home gym, it definitely isn't like really an eyesore or anything. There are some things that do need improvement, namely the monitor needs a lot of improvement. I'd say that try to bring the algorithm as close as you can to the Concept 2 stuff, just so that you could get a little bit of that market share. Even if you weren't trying to be like them, there's people for sure that are looking at this product that want that. They want a Concept 2. They maybe don't want to buy 2 pieces of equipment. Try to appease those people just a little bit more. I do think that that would help the SkiRow out quite a bit. But otherwise, there are just like little things that I don't really like about it. But the actual like package of the SkiRow is pretty good, and at I think $1,900 is its normal price. It's a pretty good machine. I think it could be a little bit less. Right now it's selling for $1,700, which sweetens the deal up quite a bit. And if you were looking for something to consolidate your space, you wanted to get a good workout in, you have absolutely no care in the world to do CrossFit, then I think the SkiRow is actually pretty good. Even if you were a CrossFitter and you just wanted to consolidate space, I still think the SkiRow is not a bad option because you do get a 2-in-1. Plus, it's pretty hard to get Concept 2 products at the moment. I think with a few adjustments and tweaks, the SkiRow would be an awesome machine for both commercial gyms, CrossFit gyms, or home gyms. But as it sits right now, it's probably just better off suited for commercial gyms and select home gyms if you're not trying to do like CrossFit or anything. I think the hardware and the mechanical aspect of the SkiRow is probably the best part of it, and the monitor is 100% the weakest area, but it's also one of the most important areas of this machine. If they can improve that, they'll definitely have something that is a contender for huge market share in, you know, every single gym, every single person's house. But as it stands right now, it's kind of a tough sell for some people. If you guys have any questions about the EnergyFit SkiRow, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.